Hello, my name is Grace and I am a big fan of houseplants. One of my favorite types of houseplant is the philodendron, so I thought it would maybe be a little bit of fun to take you through my philodendron collection. Starting off with my first ever philodendron. This is, of course, the philodendron Brazil. I think this is one of the most classic philodendrons. When I bought this plant, I was still in my early days of houseplants and I just picked it up and I thought it was a pothos, and I really wanted a pothos to sort of climb around my room, which I've done now, but definitely not with this plant. I've had this plant for a few years, and when I first got her, she was in the trenches. She was not looking all that great, and I am quite proud of sort of what she's become. She was very straggly at the start. She was very lanky, and I think I've been able to obtain sort of like a nice fuller plant. I've done this through propagation, so just propagating, and I think I put one of the cuttings just straight back in the pot and one of the cuttings in water to sort of, I don't know, have like a little experiment. But this has been the result. This plant lives in a bathroom and she loves it in there. A little bit of an increased humidity and she gets a lot of nice morning sunlight. It's quite a bright bathroom, I guess, and she seems to really love it. This plant is probably in need of a change in soil, but for the time being, just because she's happy, I think I'm just fine with keeping her in the soil that she's in. I don't think she's root bound. I wouldn't know though, because she's not in a clear pot. I'm trying to transition all of my houseplants into clear pots, so this is going to be next on my list. She does have a few roots coming out the bottom, but you know what, that's okay for now. She is putting out a lot of new growth. She has a growth point here, she has a growth point here and up here as well, so she seems to be happy. She's happy, I'm happy. She probably does need to be in maybe a slightly more aerated mix, but for the time being, she's loving life. As I said, she's quite easy to propagate. She gets fertilized sort of as my other houseplants get fertilized. I'll go into a little bit more detail in that at the end of the video, my overall care for my philodendrons, because it's all relatively the same for me. So yeah, philodendron Brazil, one of my absolute favorites, probably one of my favorite houseplants, just because she was, sort of there from the beginning. So yeah, I really love this plant. The next philodendron that I would like to talk about is my philodendron Birkin. This philodendron is at the bottom of my houseplant list. I really am not a fan of this houseplant. I want to get rid of her, but I'm waiting to sort of make her look a bit nicer before I try and get rid of her. She is really good at collecting dust. She's really good at putting out weird looking growth. I have to say, I was looking at this plant earlier and one of the leaves actually did look quite nice. Oh yeah, this leaf right here. I don't know. It has the typical Birkin foliage, but then it's got that nice bit of green. So that's nice. This plant does nothing for me. I repotted her into a clear pot to maybe encourage myself to take a bit more care of her. Her roots are looking quite nice. She is in a denser mix, but she does still have that perlite to give it some aeration. She seems to like it, she's putting out new growth. Her roots are looking good. But yeah, overall, the only reason I bought this plant well, I bought it because I thought I was gonna like it, but I ended up not liking it. I bought it because I liked the name, Birkin. I think that's a nice name for a houseplant. But yeah, out of all my houseplants, out of all my philodendrons, my Birkin is really not a favorite. So yeah, philodendron Birkin. If you like it, that's fair enough, but they're not for me. I don't know. So yeah. One of my smaller philodendrons is this little guy here. I am pretty sure that this plant is called a blushing philodendron. I'm actually not 100% sure. This plant I think is really good for people who want to sort of save space with their houseplants. I've had this houseplant, I want to say, for over a year, and she hasn't really grown a lot. Her leaves have sized up a little bit, which is really nice. But yeah, this plant unfortunately is a victim of my low humidity room, which I need to improve. You can see that with when she's trying to push out her new growth, it sort of gets caught on the previous leaf. So in a lot of cases, I have to sort of do the silly trick of getting a cotton bud, I can't remember what they're called, and sort of like getting in there and releasing the leaf. But she really is a happy plant. She's also, her mix, I would say, is on the more sort of like aerated side. She also is going to be put into a clear pot in the near future, which I'm kind of sad about because this pot just fits so perfectly in the cover pot and it really looks so nice. So we'll have to do some brainstorming about what we're going to do with that. But yeah, overall, blushing philodendron, really love it. Really low maintenance, really good at not taking up too much space, and overall I really think it's such a stunning plant. I love the red. It's got, yeah, those really nice leaves, and yeah, overall I love this plant. So yeah, blushing philodendron. Next is one of my favorite philodendrons. This is my philodendron silver sword, and I have her growing up a pole, and she has not disappointed. I bought this plant sort of with the intentions of growing her up a moss pole, and she really has not disappointed. This moss pole needs a water, but that's okay. You can see the roots are quite happy in there, and she's attached to it really nicely as well. She's in a chunky mix, so her roots quite like that, as you can see. And overall, this plant has been, besides the moss pole, I would say relatively low maintenance. But yeah, I just really think she's stunning. I'm really excited for this plant to sort of get that bit bigger and a bit more mature, because once she gets mature, the leaves look like swords, and it has, that sort of silver sort of look to the leaves as well, that hint of silver, and that's why they get the name philodendron silver sword. Stunning plant. I love this plant. One of my other favorite philodendrons is my philodendron micans. Also has that classic philodendron leaf shape, and it's also sort of got, that velvety finish to it. Stunning. I love this plant. This plant is just an absolute classic. It needs to be on a bigger trellis, but that's okay, I hope. I don't know. She lives on my desk and she gets a nice amount of afternoon sun. She's in a chunky mix, which she quite likes. I don't know if you can see any roots at the moment, a little bit off the front, but overall this plant is really just, a classic. She has been a bit tricky to propagate. I've tried propagating in the past and I've been successful maybe 20% of the time. I think though, I just needed to be a bit more patient with my propagations, because I've had success recently where I've had a cutting in soil for literally probably 6 months, and only recently it's starting to put out new growth, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, overall I love this philodendron as well. She's a bit crazy, she's a bit insane, but the undersides of the leaves are really stunning as well. So yeah, I love this philodendron. Another climber that I have is a philodendron L Choco Red. This philodendron was the first ever plant that I bought online, which I was a little nervous about, but she has turned out to be awesome. I love her. You can also sort of see the roots in the moss pole. Down the bottom, she didn't have roots for a long time, but she's starting to sort of extend her roots out, which is really nice. This plant as well has been victim to my low humidity room. which is evident with this plant here. It's got a little bit of discoloration. You can see it's been sort of like snapped there, and that is because I was impatient and got one of the ear cleaning cotton thingamabobs that I can't remember the name of, and I was like trying to unravel it, and I snapped. I snapped the leaf, the branch. So the petioles, is that what it's called? I don't know. So yeah, that was a little sad. I was gonna cut it off, but then I was like, maybe I'll just leave it. But I need to sort of increase the humidity in my room. I have a humidifier, but I'm really bad at turning it on. But yeah, I really love this plant. I'm really excited to sort of see how this plant sizes up. I really am excited to see sort of like in a year from now where this plant is, because you know, like she's already sized up a bit. When I first got her, she just had, I think, maybe like 3 leaves. And yeah, so you like comparing these smaller leaves down the bottom to sort of like that leaf there, like she's already starting to size up a little bit. And overall, I really love this plant. She's in, you know, that chunky mix as well. And yeah, I'm just excited to see sort of where this plant goes. I think it's such a stunning plant, and I've seen a lot of photos of this plant when it's sort of mature, and I'm excited. Okay, I saved my favorite till last. This is my Philodendron Florida Ghost Mint. Are you kidding me? With this plant? This plant's insane. I love this plant. This is genuinely, I think, one of the most stunning houseplants I have in my collection. I can't get over the leaf shape. I can't get over the variation in the leaf color. My favorite leaf on this plant is this one here. She has like a little, can't probably tell, but she has a little green outline, which I think is beyond stunning. She puts out leaves like there's no tomorrow. This is her newest leaf. Starting to slightly size up as well. I really would love to propagate this plant and see how she does with growing up a moss pole. She's in a chunky mix, and don't the roots look unreal? They look stunning. Overall, this plant is 10s across the board. I have no faults with this plant. This plant really is just like, I think it's one of the favorite in my entire collection, but I think she looks so good in her grow pot as well. I love this plant. I really love this plant. This is really one of my favorite philodendrons. So yeah. So the overall care of these plants, it's relatively the same for all of my philodendrons. Majority of my philodendrons, except for the Birkin and the Brazil, are in my room. My room gets a lot of nice afternoon sun, as well as a bit of light sort of during midday. So I have quite a bright room. My plants really like it in here. I do try and increase the humidity in my room. However, I live in a very dry climate, so I sort of average between like 40 and 60, which is like really not ideal for houseplants, but it's what we're working with. The houseplants seem to not overly mind, except for the ones that try to put out new leaves and then the leaves break, and then I break the leaves, and then everything's really sad. And yeah, but other than that, like, it hasn't been too crazy of an issue for me with the humidity. Majority of them are in a chunky mix. I do like chunky mixes more than those like denser mixes, just because I overwater my plants sometimes, and I think the chunky mixes just help me with not overwatering them. It gives the roots a bit more air as well, which I think they like. With fertilizing my plants, I use the GT technology. I think that's what it's called, fertilizer. I use the root zone as well as the foliage focus. I like to fertilize my plants every 2 to 3 weeks. Even in winter, if I'm seeing new growth with some of my plants, I'll continue to fertilize them. But yeah, I really think philodendrons are sort of a bit easier to take care of. I think they're a really good way for people to sort of like get into houseplants. I think they're really quite beginner friendly, and there's so many variations with the different types of philodendrons, like considering, you know, we've got the blushing philodendron and then comparing it to sort of like the Florida ghost. There's so many different varieties of philodendrons, and so yeah, I really think they're such an awesome type of plant, and I really want to buy some more in the future. I have a few on my wish list. I want to buy a Micans variegated. The pink variegated Micans is stunning. But yeah, overall I really love philodendrons. I really love my philodendron collection, except for my Birkin. I hate my Birkin so much. But yeah, overall that's it from me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my philodendron collection, and we will see you next time.